I just picked a whole mess of zucchini out in my garden, and I'm turning them into mustardy zucchini relish before they get away from me. If you've ever ended up with zucchini bigger than your forearm, then this is the recipe for you. Let me show you how to make it. Rinsing our zucchini. We're going to start by cutting each end off of the zucchini and then cutting it open. A bigger zucchini like this has a lot of large seeds in it, so we're going to cut those out. What I like to do is take a bigger spoon and just get in there and scoop them out that way. So we'll put all of our seeds in here, and then we'll put them down in the compost pile. And just like that, we have a seedless zucchini ready to shred. I think I'll go ahead and shred all of the zucchini, even if I have extra. If I have enough for a double batch, I'll do that. Otherwise, what I'll do is stick it in the freezer and use it for zucchini bread later on this winter. I remember cutting zucchini in a canning factory when I was a teenager, and that was probably my favorite thing to do in the canning factory. My least favorite thing was sorting on the conveyor belt. We'd have to sort cherries, and it was so boring. I just realized I forgot to cut my zucchini, so I went ahead and cut all of them in strips so that they'll fit into the chute of the food processor. I have my shredding blade already in here, and so I have my larger shred faced upward. And we're going to use my Breville food processor. This is my favorite food processor that I've ever had. For zucchini relish, it's best to use a larger shred, like a coarse or a chunky shred, rather than a small fine shred, because the zucchini will soften and cook down when simmered. A fine shred can turn mushy. A larger shred helps the relish maintain that classic crunchy texture. So I have these cups here that I can measure the zucchini out in. I think zucchini's kind of pretty. I can see already I am going to have plenty. I might even be able to do a double batch. And you can half this recipe also. All right, so we have 8 cups there. We need 12 cups total. So we just need another 4 cups, and I think we're gonna have that here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of this zucchini shredded. So I went and washed up a bigger strainer and a big bowl. Since we're gonna be doing a double batch, we need something bigger. And the reason you want this bowl underneath is because the juices are gonna drain in here overnight. It calls for 2 tablespoons of sea salt. So for me, doing a double, I'm gonna use 4. And then we're gonna toss this together. And by adding the salt and letting it sit overnight in the refrigerator, it'll help extract the liquid out of the zucchini. We're gonna get this in the refrigerator. So I'll see you back here tomorrow. I think I was feeling way too ambitious yesterday when I thought I would do a double batch of zucchini relish. Well, I've already changed my mind. I'm going to divide the zucchini in half and just go with a regular batch. And whatever's left over, I'll just put in a freezer bag and use it for something else. So I'm gonna show you how much liquid came out of the zucchini. So we were able to get quite a bit of liquid out of here. So now we're gonna set our zucchini in here and rinse it off. Once we get it good and rinsed, we're gonna squeeze out as much of the liquid as we can. That looks pretty good. Well, now it's time to make everybody cry and get these onions shredded. I decided to use up some of the little onions that I pulled from my garden, and I have the large shred up for the onions as well. If you don't have a food processor, you can dice your vegetables very small and do that instead. These ought to add a lot of flavor. They are very strong onions. So we have all of our ingredients here. We're gonna start out by putting our brine together. We have 10½ cups of granulated sugar. That's a lot of sugar. And then we have 6 cups of apple cider vinegar. And you wanna make sure that it's 5% acidity so that it's safe for canning. And now for the mustard portion of this, we'll add 1½ tablespoons of mustard seed and 2 tablespoons of ground mustard, and then 2 tablespoons of celery seeds. And I'm going to turn the burner on to medium high, and we'll get this mixture stirred together. We're going to keep stirring this to dissolve the sugar, and we're going to bring the mixture to a boil. All right, our brine is to a boil and our sugar is dissolved. We'll start with the star of the show, our 12 cups of zucchini. Be careful putting this in that you don't burn yourself. 6 cups of shredded onions. And then we have 3 cups of finely chopped green peppers and 3 cups of finely chopped red bell peppers. I have them mixed together. One step by pulling out some frozen peppers. You can do that. Typically you'd chop your green peppers a little bit smaller, but I'm sure this will be just fine by the time it gets cooked down. And we're going to bring this back to a boil. I have some very hot water here I'm going to temper these jars with. If it's really cold out, make sure that the water is not too hot, or you can break the jars. And the reason for tempering the jars is to keep them from shattering when we put the hot contents in the jar. Just basically put enough in here to temper the jars. It's time to fill the jars. And we're leaving a 1/2 inch headspace, and I'm using the 1/2 pint size jar. If you have a large family, you might want to do these in the pint size jars. A lot of recipes call for cornstarch to thicken the mixture up a little bit, but they don't recommend doing that. I'm going to take a clean cloth and wipe the rims of all these jars. You want to make sure that you really wipe them good because it's very sticky. If you don't get it all off, they won't seal. And if you have a problem with a jar not sealing, you can always put it in the refrigerator and use that one first. Now that I have them rinsed with water, I'm going to take a little bit of vinegar and use a paper towel and wipe the jars with that to make sure that there's no sticky residue left on the top of the jars. Now it's time to get the lids on these. The jars are kind of hot, so I'm going to use this washcloth. And then we're going to tighten these finger tight. Don't tighten them too much. Look how pretty they look. I still have more relish to jar up, but I'm going to get a batch going here. I'm going to have plenty of water in there. You only need about 1 to 2 inches over your jar. Normally you want a trivet on the bottom. I need to order one. So far, thankfully, I haven't had any issue with broken jars, but I know it's best to have a trivet. Actually, it looks like I'm going to have about the perfect amount of water over these. So I'm going to get the lid back on these. We're going to let these come to a boil. Our water's to a boil, so we're going to set our timer for 15 minutes. All right, these are done and ready to come out of the water. It looks good. I always love to hear that pop sound. There, now we'll wait, and the other kettle should be coming off here in about 15 minutes. All right, now they're all out. I saved just a little bit of this out so I could try it. All right, let's see what it tastes like. Definitely worth the effort. And the nice thing is I have 22 pints, so that will definitely carry me through this winter and probably the next. So I hope that you'll give this a try and let me know what you think. I think that this relish is going to taste so good on hot dogs and brats and just anything like that. Anything you'd normally like sweet pickle relish on. And if you found this helpful, I would love it if you would subscribe so that you can join me here again next time. I hope that you're all having a blessed day. Bye for now.